Hey everyone, Ryan here, and welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars Ultimate Collector Series Naboo Starfighter. Given set number 10026 with 187 pieces, it originally released for just $30 back in 2002, and it is the smallest UCS set ever released, and very likely will forever be the smallest UCS set ever released, because LEGO hasn't released a sub $200 UCS set since 2010's Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. I do, however, feel the modern midi-scale lineup satisfies the need for cheaper UCS-style sets, and so it does live on today, but in a different form. Now, unfortunately, this set is not $30 anymore. If you go on sites like eBay, you'll find that it's now worth well over $1,000 sealed in box, and even used ones aren't very affordable. Now, many people, including myself for many years, assumed that this was a Phantom Menace set. However, it's actually an Episode 2 Attack of the Clones set, as it was released in 2002 alongside the movie, with box art corresponding to its appearance in Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. There does, however, exist a prototype version of the box art where this would have been considered an Episode 1 set. So I just think there's some pretty cool history behind this one. Now, getting inside of the set, of course, there will be no numbered bags. It's not a lot of pieces, plus it was the early 2000s, and the instruction manual was actually the ugliest LEGO Star Wars instruction manual until very recently, when LEGO decided to start doing these uglier renders. But for some reason, they took the square box art, stuck it on rectangular paper, and left this giant black bezel on the right side of the manual. And at the back of the instruction manual, the build just ends. There's no other adverts for other sets or anything cool that you might have wanted to see. It's just a blank page at the very back. Last thing in the box, though, was the sticker sheet. Let's take a look at the finished build. The build for this Naboo Starfighter, for the chrome bricks and bright yellow color, is one of the most eye-catching LEGO Star Wars models anyone can have in their collection. It's an incredibly unique look that we may never see again, as LEGO has stopped producing this type of chromed LEGO brick. That's not to say they could never do it again, but as it stands, LEGO has no intention on bringing it back. These chrome pieces are incredibly beautiful fresh out of the box like this, and if you're wondering, the chrome is like an additional paint on there. I believe it's sprayed on, as you can see little spots on certain bricks where it's held for the chrome to be applied. I'm sure it's an interesting manufacturing process, but regardless of how it got done, it looks incredible. I think the biggest flaw with this set was them not putting chrome on the very front of the Naboo Starfighter, where you can see some exposed studs that really kind of stick out in that old light gray color. If those were chrome, man, oh boy. Just above them, you have the twin laser cannons, which are separate stickers from the yellow part that you see on that large chrome piece. Just very cool details. It flows very nicely. It has a good pattern to it. And with those bigger yellow stickers behind it, if you're very careful with the placement, you can make it look almost seamless on the set, with no gap between the yellow brick and the yellow sticker. And the yellow of the sticker matches pretty decently to the yellow of the sets. It doesn't stand out as much as it does on some other LEGO Star Wars sets for sticker color and brick color, which is definitely a nice thing here. What I've unfortunately found with some of these older sets is that the stickers just don't stick very well, and so even though I just pulled this set out of the box and built it, the stickers are already peeling off. So I think I'm going to have to get a replica sticker sheet for some of the stickers on this thing, as they're just going to peel off otherwise. The design on the engine area was really good for this. Love the chrome look on the front end, and on the back end of the engine, you have a translucent blue piece, which makes it look like there's thrust coming out of the back, and it's all just such a clean, slim design throughout that entire area, down to the antennas on the back end. Now, I find the cockpit on this to be a really interesting design, because it's basically just a couple of bricks, because there's not going to be a minifigure going inside. You don't use like a translucent canopy piece, and they actually ended up using kind of a weird metallic gradient print that you don't see really, and that's how they did the windshield for this. Behind that, you have the R2-D2 head on a swivel. You don't get the rest of the body or anything, and this was the early days of UCS sets. They just didn't include minifigures with these back in the day. And the rest of the model down the back spine of the Naboo Starfighter is pretty dang clean looking. Now, before we talk about the stand, I just want to talk about how good this model was for 2002. It's so good that I think they could still release it today and it would go over pretty well. Some of the building techniques might be a bit dated, but generally the design of it, you know, chrome excluded, it still looks very good and has a very modern design. And I want to highlight that this set came out 3 years after the beginning of LEGO Star Wars. One of the first LEGO Star Wars sets was the 1999 Naboo Starfighter. It looks horrible compared to this. 3-year difference. You can just see how quickly LEGO Star Wars improved with certain builds like this, going in 3 years from just an awful model that didn't age well at all, that they couldn't release today, that nobody looks at and says, that looks great, versus this 3 years later that, you know, the chrome goes a long way. But regardless, this model vastly improved on that build in every way. And I know that one's a playset and this one's a UCS set, but really the playsets that would come after this UCS model would take after it. In 2007, 2011, and 2015, I mean, they definitely improved upon this, but this to me is the blueprint for those sets. Now, on the underside of the Naboo Starfighter, there's a proton torpedo launch tube that is stickered onto the bottom of this, and then the stand for this actually just connects with studs, which is pretty atypical for a UCS set, but because this one is so small and really doesn't require an especially strong connection, they can just use studs here. And there's some interesting Technic pieces here that allow for a very wide range of display poses on this Naboo Starfighter, which I really think no UCS set comes close to the amount of variability that you can get in the way that you display this Naboo Starfighter, which I think makes it incredibly unique and cool in that manner. I do think the older gray color definitely shows its age on the bottom side of this Naboo Starfighter stand. I just don't think that old dark gray looks good, but it does have that classic style LEGO Star Wars UCS display stand with just the regular simple slopes. And lastly, we have our UCS display card. It's draped over 8 1x6 plates, and nowadays they print the display plaques anyway, but LEGO has outlawed their designers from actually placing stickers over more than one tile or brick at a time. It's so illegal now, in fact, that it actually ends up hurting some of their modern day products. So in this case, it was very good that they were allowed to do that because it's the optimal look for this sticker. It's got the size, the engines, the hyperdrive, the crew, one pilot and one astromech droid. Of course, you're only getting the head for the astromech droid, and the weapons included. It's a pretty nice small UCS model from 2002. If you ever have the opportunity to own one, I think it is one of the coolest LEGO Star Wars prequel sets that you can own, really from the standpoint of it being a small UCS set and those chrome bricks. Probably the chrome bricks doing it for me here. I think this will always feel like one of the few things in LEGO Star Wars that they will just definitely not remake. You're not going to get another small chromed out UCS Naboo Starfighter. They're just not going to do it. I'm going a solid 9.5 out of 10. I just wish those bricks on the front were chromed so that it matched all the way across the front with the chrome color, but otherwise it's a pretty amazing UCS set for its time in 2002. And while it was weird that it was called UCS given its size nowadays, back in the early 2000s with LEGO Star Wars, they certainly had the wiggle room to decide what Ultimate Collector Series meant. And in a case like this, it meant a super clean, chromed out, special version of the Naboo Starfighter, not necessarily just a giant version of the Naboo Starfighter. So let me know what you think about it down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, and you can check out more LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.